This unexpected U.S. city is being wiped out by Muslim migrants. This is just about one of the scariest news pieces you will read today. A woman from upstate New York has written a blog piece as a warning about what happens when Muslim refugees begin to take over an American city. In this particular case, the city is Utica, New York. The city of Utica was mostly Anglo-Saxon until someone in government, just like was the case with Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Somalian refugees, decided that wasn't a good thing, so they started shipping in scumbag Muslim refugees to overtake the Anglo-Saxon population. This is the blog post in its entirety. It's long but well worth the read. My hometown is gone. Hi. This is a blog post I threw together in response to the recent increase in refugee numbers by Trump's State Department, in order to convey what it is like living in an Islamizing area. I gave a talk at a luncheon a few months ago that was basically relating my story of how my hometown has been Islamized by refugee resettlement. So it makes sense to do a blog post. I'm from the Utica, New York area. Utica is the city nicknamed by the UN the city that loves refugees. Soon every American city will be a city that loves refugees. Get ready. So I would like to tell you what it is like living in an area where the major city is about 25%, or more, refugee, mainly Muslim. I was born in Utica, a fated industrial town along the Mohawk River, Erie Canal corridor, and lived there until I was 8 years old when my family moved to a nearby small college town. I loved living in Utica because there were lots of families on my block, big Catholic families with lots of kids. You could yard hop, checking out who was available for play. You could bike around the neighborhood. There were block parties in the summer. My grandmother lived up the street. Life was good. My father and his father were born and lived in Utica, New York. My father was a judge in Utica, like his father before him. The Catholic school my father attended is now a community center for refugees. After I moved back to the Utica area as an adult, I used to recite full Fathom 5 to the children as we drove by my father's former Catholic school. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change, into something rich and strange. When I had my first child I was living in New York City. Her father and I divorced when she was a baby, and when she was 2 years old, I beat a hasty retreat back home to upstate New York. There I met my husband. We got married, we had babies, in that order, and we settled down outside of Utica. When I moved back home, one of the first things I noticed was that an old Methodist church was being converted into a bright shiny white new mosque. The local paper touted this as immense progress and featured a local woman who had attended the church as a child and was positively brimming with joy it was being turned into a mosque. If that is the general sentiment, then it's sad that my county went for Trump, right? There are at least 2 mosques in the city now. They just built another. Where do I start? Utica had always been the city that loves refugees, but under Obama things accelerated. Muslim immigrants were suddenly in these local bureaucratic positions where they had power over you. This, in what is probably one of the most corrupt states in the Union, where the power of the state is everything. The social worker at my daughter's school was a Muslim immigrant. I looked for her profile on the school website, I googled her, I could not find information on her background, resume, qualifications, or educational attainments. When I began to homeschool my daughter, the administrator to whom I had to submit paperwork was a Muslim immigrant. To homeschool in New York State you must submit detailed quarterly reports to an administrator at your local school district. I googled the administrator. He also worked at the local Board of Cooperative Educational Services, but I could not find any other information on his background, resume, qualifications, or educational attainments. I was friends with the wife of the Orthodox priest at our church, and she told me that this administrator found some problems with her paperwork and challenged her. It turned out she was right about the issue, and he backed down. Comfy little situation, right? Right before we moved I went to the ER. The nurse practitioner was a Muslim immigrant, Bosnia, and the doctor she worked under was a Muslim immigrant, Pakistan. I remember how during the visit I suddenly became very aware of the cross I always wear around my neck.